The front office in New York just handed down a massive trap to the Philadelphia Eagles, and it feels like a total setup. Did the schedule makers completely sabotage Philly's upcoming season? Or is this just the price of being a premier franchise? The details hiding in this calendar are absolutely wild, and it looks like the league might have just cooked up a major disaster for the Birds. Before we dive in, smash that subscribe button if you want the fastest NFL updates on the planet. Everyone knew the path back to the postseason was going to be tough, but nobody expected the league to hand Philly a map full of landmines. On paper, things look bright because this team has massive brand recognition, meaning the world will be watching them constantly. The league made sure of that by loading them up with 5 primetime matchups and 3 additional standalone games. That is the highest number of spotlight games for any franchise in the entire league. Why? Because when Philadelphia plays, the TV ratings skyrocket. Vegas even looks at the roster and the opponents and claims that, based on projected win totals, this is technically the 7th easiest path in football. But do not let those surface-level numbers fool you. There is a hidden nightmare buried deep within this calendar, and it all starts with the opening stretch. The year kicks off at Lincoln Financial Field with an absolute battle against the division rival Washington Commanders. It is a massive chance to set the tone early. From there, the team hits the highway down to Nashville for a heavy-hitting road matchup against the Tennessee Titans. If you're looking to travel for a game, that city is going to be completely overrun by green jerseys, especially down on Broadway. Starting off with 2 straight wins is the expectation here, and anything less would be a massive letdown. It is the perfect opportunity for a fresh offensive coordinator and play caller to establish an identity and find a rhythm before the real pressure cooks. But wait until you hear what happens the very next week when the real travel chaos begins. Moving into the 3rd week, the squad travels out to Soldier Field for a high-stakes Monday Night Football showdown against the Chicago Bears. Fortunately, playing in the Windy City this early in the year means avoiding the freezing winter weather, which is a rare break from the schedule gods. But the breathing room does not last. Week 4 brings a brutal home matchup against the Los Angeles Rams, a physical team that has turned into a recurring nightmare over the last couple of seasons. Then comes the real shocker. In Week 5, the team has to board a plane and fly all the way across the Atlantic Ocean to square off against the Jacksonville Jaguars in London. Crossing the ocean is exhausting enough, but it is what happens when they land back on American soil that proves the league did this team 0 favors. Usually, franchises get a chance to breathe after an international trip, right? Wrong. How does a team survive a grueling flight home from Europe without a single day of practice? That brings us to the first major controversy. In Week 6, the team returns to South Philly to host the Carolina Panthers. Here is the kicker. Philadelphia does not get a bye week after flying back from London. Meanwhile, the Panthers are coming directly off their own bye week, meaning they will be completely healthy, rested, and waiting in ambush. Can this roster actually overcome a rested opponent while dealing with massive jet lag? Drop your thoughts in the comments right now. Let me know if you think this London situation is fair or a total setup. The gauntlet keeps spinning right after that. Week 7 features another massive Monday Night Football clash at home against the Dallas Cowboys. But the reward for playing in prime time come with a massive cost. Immediately following that physical divisional war, the team is forced onto a short week, traveling right back to Washington to face the Commanders on Sunday Night Football. That is back-to-back intense rivalry games on national television with fewer days to recover than normal. Week 9 brings another intense divisional battle at Lincoln Financial Field against the New York Giants. Finally, after 9 weeks of nonstop hitting and thousands of miles of travel, the official bye week arrives in Week 10. But if you think the second half of the year offers any relief, you are dead wrong, because the final stretch is a straight-up horror movie. Coming out of the break in Week 11, the team hosts the Pittsburgh Steelers for the ultimate battle of Pennsylvania. Historically, Philly has completely dominated the Steelers when the game takes place on home turf, so keeping that streak alive is a must. But as soon as that whistle blows, the countdown begins for one of the most brutal stretches of football any team will face this year. In Week 12, the team faces a quick turnaround on a short week, traveling to Dallas for a massive Thanksgiving Day showdown against the Cowboys. Playing on Turkey Day is an honor, but doing it on the road against your biggest rival is a different beast entirely. Week 13 keeps them on the highway for a long flight out to the Mountain Time zone to play the Arizona Cardinals. This is where things get interesting logistically. Will the team stay out west to avoid the travel fatigue, or will they fly all the way back across the country? The order of these games actually shifted from original rumors, swapping the order of the desert trip and the home slate. Honestly, that swap might be the only saving grace for this roster. In Week 14, they return home to host the Indianapolis Colts. Staying in South Philly right after that is crucial because Week 15 demands another short week, hosting the Seattle Seahawks for a rare Saturday showdown. Think about the physical toll of that stretch. You go from a Sunday road game out west to a home game against a physical AFC team, straight into a Saturday matchup against a tough NFC West opponent. And the league was not done punishing them. Week 16 brings another short week, forcing the team to play on Christmas Eve, a Thursday night powerhouse matchup against the Houston Texans, who currently boast what many consider the absolute best defense in the entire league. That means the team is forced to play multiple short week games in a row during the most critical month of the season. After surviving Christmas Eve, they have to pack their bags again and head all the way to Northern California for a Sunday night football war against the San Francisco 49ers in Santa Clara. Playing on Thursday gives them a mini bye to prepare, but traveling across the country to face a powerhouse late in the year is a massive test of endurance. Finally, the regular season wraps up in Week 18 on the road against the New York Giants. When you look at the betting lines right now, odds makers are still showing massive respect to this roster. Despite the travel chaos, Philadelphia is currently favored in 13 out of their 17 games. They are 5.5-point favorites against Washington to start the year and 4.5-point favorites against Tennessee. The trouble starts in Week 3, where they are listed as 1.5-point underdogs on the road against Chicago, and they're also 1.5-point underdogs at home against the Rams. Moving to London, they are 2.5-point favorites against Jacksonville. Back home, they are massive touchdown favorites against the Panthers and 3-point favorites against Dallas on Monday night. They hold a 2.5-point advantage on the road against Washington, and they are 5.5-point favorites against both the Giants and the Steelers at home. On Thanksgiving in Dallas, they open as 1.5-point underdogs. But the biggest gap comes against Arizona, where they are heavy 8.5-point favorites on the road, mostly because the Cardinals are projected underdogs in every single game on their schedule this year. To finish out the home slate, they are 5.5-point favorites over the Colts, 1.5-point favorites over Seattle, and 2.5-point favorites against Houston on Christmas Eve. The final road trip puts them as 1.5-point underdogs against the Niners, before closing as 3-point favorites against the Giants. But numbers on a betting screen do not play the actual games, and the underlying metrics show a massive competitive disadvantage. When you really dig into the structural fairness of this calendar, it becomes obvious that the franchise got dealt a terrible hand. The team officially has the second worst rest differential in the entire National Football League. They are sitting at a massive -5 days of rest compared to their opponents over the course of the season, a metric where only the Los Angeles Chargers fared worse. To make matters worse, this roster is forced to play 4 different games against opponents who are coming directly off their bye weeks. Think about that. Carolina, Washington, New York, and Indianapolis all get an extra week of rest, recovery, and game planning specifically to target Philadelphia. Is this a league-wide issue, or did the schedule makers specifically target the Birds? The reality of modern professional football is that the league is now playing games nearly every single day of the week except for Tuesday. Because the broadcast schedule is spread across 6 out of 7 days, short weeks and rest disadvantages are becoming part of the landscape for elite teams. The talent depth across all divisions is higher than it has been in decades, meaning there are no easy weeks. Aside from a couple of struggling franchises, every single week is a dogfight. But even with the entire league facing scheduling quirks, the specific combination of no-bye week after London, multiple short week games in December, and 4 rested opponents makes this an uphill battle. The front office built a deep roster for a reason, and every single bit of that depth is going to be tested if this team wants to hoist the trophy at the end of the year.